As I settle comfortably into my Unk arc, I found myself spending more and more time with military simulations. Yes, I still enjoy the chaos and ridiculousness of modern Call of Duty, but I find myself drawn more and more to the more thoughtful approaches to warfare. The WW1 series is arguably the most realistic approach to the first-person war shooter genre on the market today, and WW1 Gallipoli, coming out sometime this summer, is the next entry in that long-range franchise. From my all too brief time with it on the show floor at PAX East, it might be the best WW1 game so far. I bet you could ask anyone in the United States to name the major powers involved in the Second World War, and they'd easily list off the Axis and Allied powers. If you changed it up, though, to ask about the First World War, plenty of Americans would have a much harder time. Personally, I didn't learn much about World War I in school other than the story that the United States came in and saved the day. The reality of World War I is so much more interesting and complex. In short, the entire system of human civilization at the time was completely upended. These weren't just countries fighting other countries. These were empires and monarchies at war, ruled by emperors and kings. The days of war as a great gentleman's adventure were violently ended as bodies stacked up in the face of new and horrible mechanized ways of killing never before seen. The fallout from World War I, or as it was known then, the Great War, shaped the entirety of the 20th century and still affects us even today. World War II may have been the bloodiest, costliest conflict in the history of humanity, but even that world-shattering contest was the direct result of the events of the First World War. The WW1 Game series' commitment to accuracy, while deftly weaving in gameplay elements to make it fun, is one of the things that drew me into WW1 Izanzo, the most recent game in the series. I actually wasn't familiar with it until I got the invitation to check out Gallipoli. I ended up loving it so much, I bought the entire series and expansion content during the Steam sale. What up, spring sale? Thanks, Gabe. First thing I noticed in WW1 Gallipoli compared to Izanzo is just how much better it looks. Granted, Izanzo is now a 4-year-old game, but the foreboding cliffs of the Gallipoli coast are visually much improved over the previous entries in the series. The trenches scraped into the hardened earth of the peninsula have an unevenness that makes them feel more alive in spite of the horrors of the trench warfare. As someone who dealt with soil in that part of the world during my time in the Air Force, I was really impressed by just how much the graphics mirrored the behavior of the trenches dug into that hard ground. I want to reiterate, I experienced it in the most 21st century way with diesel-powered equipment. I can't even imagine digging those trenches by hand. The battlefield itself is recreated using photogrammetry, another modern technique that ensures accuracy of every crag and nook along the coast. If you've played Izanzo, you know that sometimes the terrain has a decidedly textured polygon look, but that was largely absent from my experience with Gallipoli. There are also new classes available in WW1 Gallipoli: Ammo Bearer, Bomber, Heavy Machine Gunner, and Stretcher Bearer. I played in the Light Machine Gunner class, which developer Black Mill Games describes as similar to Assault in Izanzo. Ammo Bearer and Stretcher Bearer are support roles and can be set up differently depending on how you like to play. For example, the Stretcher Bearer lets you either heal teammates from your backpack, or you can choose faster heal speeds and additional medic crates to help your downed squad mates in the action. I played as an Australian soldier tasked with storming the beaches to take control of the battlefield. Once again, the game does not shy away from putting you into the thick of the authentic WW1 experience. Whereas D-Day's first charges launched out of mechanized landing craft, the start of the campaign I played at PAX East had the Aussies rowing into shore. Yes, rowboats. One of the funniest things about playing at the convention was how many people stopped in their tracks as they passed the WW1 Gallipoli booth to remark incredulously on rowing into a wasp hive of machine gun fire. Needless to say, I did not make it to shore with the rest of my company, but I was able to spawn on the beach.
Get me out of here! Get me out of here!
Another improvement in WW1 Gallipoli compared to its last entry is you can just give up now. You no longer need to spam for help as you bleed out. If it looks like no one's gonna help you, you can just push F and nope, right back to the nearest spawn point. It took me a little while to get used to my role as a machine gunner. In spite of my time with Izanzo, I still ran in like I was in a COD match, which I was not at all. The commitment to realism means more than just everything looks the part, because everything acts the part too. For example, hip firing a WW1 era machine gun, yeah, good luck with that. It's impossible to aim, flinging the barrel up randomly in a way that's impossible to compensate for. For me to lay down fire meant I either had to crouch or lay prone, then set my machine gun up on its bipod. But once I did, oh baby, did that feel good. You gain experience from laying down suppressive fire, so even during times when I wasn't close enough to any of the enemy to register a kill, I was still able to help my team by pinning our opponents down in their trenches. There's something extra satisfying about seeing all those experience points popping up on screen while you also help the squad gain ground. Another commitment to realism is how you can't really lone wolf it in WW1 Gallipoli. Teamwork is crucial to success here, which is how squad-based first-person shooters should be, in my opinion. Who am I though? Just one guy. Do you know how many team-based COD matches I've played where 90% of the team is running around like it's team deathmatch? Do you know how often I've unmuted my mic to remind people to capture the objective? It's gotta be in the thousands, maybe billions. However, my time with Azonzo bodes well for my future time with Gallipoli, as the players drawn to this type of game do the craziest thing. They actually work together towards capturing or defending the battlefield. A friend of mine described the WW1 series as digital World War I LARPing, and you know what? Yeah. In the excitement, I found myself yelling, "On to the next, chaps!" in spite of several things. First of all, no one was around who could hear me other than the Blackmill Games CEO. I don't think there were any actual players in my match, just bots. And also, I was playing an Aussie, not a stiff-lipped Tommy from the British Isles. My time with WW1 Gallipoli was not nearly enough, but I'm happy to say we did capture the full battlefield and won the match. Afterwards, I was shown one of the cool little touches in Gallipoli's improvised grenades. The real things were made from tin cans stuffed with gunpowder and a fuse. In the game, each homemade hand grenade, has a different, entirely fictional label on it. It's just another one of those little touches, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity to fling explosive tins of haggis at my foes this summer when WW1 Gallipoli officially releases.
Throwing grenade!
For more first-person shooter action, check out our review of Call of Duty Black Ops 7, and for everything else, keep it right here on IGN.
Arkadaşlar dikkat!